Good afternoon. My name is Josh Brewer. I'm the police chief here for the Pasadena Police Department. I want to thank you all for coming out today. In my 23 years here, I'm going to say this is the largest award ceremony that we've ever had, which is a good problem to have. I will tell you, my administrative sergeant was getting text earlier from some officers. Is this true this thing's going to last till 5:30? I'm like, well, I'm not going to be here if it's lasting until 5:30, so hopefully not. But we do need to recognize the good work that happens here every day. And before I begin, I want to take a minute to recognize a couple folks. The mayor's here, Mayor Jeff Wagner. Thank you for coming, Mayor. Councilwoman Pat Manhout. And Councilman Thomas Shainbun. And two other people I want to recognize real quick. C.O. Bradford, the former chief at Houston Police Department, is a law enforcement liaison for Kim Ogg's office. And Amy Smith with the Harris County Domestic Coordinating, help me out. Domestic Violence Coordinating Council. There we go. And last but not least, the command staff here that helps run the department every day. I want to tell you that it is a tremendous honor to stand here before you today to recognize the men and women of the department. Good work happens here every single day, and this is just what got caught and brought to our attention. And the thing that I always say at these award ceremonies is these folks do this not for the accolades, not to come up here and get a plaque or get a ribbon on their uniform. They do it because it's the right thing to do. And I want to thank all of you that are here today, the family, the friends, the spouses, because without you and the understanding and the sacrifices that you all make, they could not do what they do every day. And so I want to thank all of you for coming out here and the support that you give your loved ones every day as they go out there and face the unknown. After we present our awards, the Harris County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council, got it, is going to come up and they want to make a couple presentations. Our agency piloted a new program for them, and I'll talk about that when we get there. But they have been a tremendous partner for us, not just on this project, but really throughout my whole career here. And anything we need, we can call them, and they're there to help us any way they can. I'm going to get started with a presentation so that we're not here till 5:30. The awards that are going to be presented today are the Outstanding Performance Awards, the Meritorious Service Ribbons, the Distinguished Service Ribbons, Unit Citation, and the Citizen Commendation. And the first award that's going to be presented are the Outstanding Performance Awards. And I'll just tell you what this award is. It may be awarded for employees, sworn or civilian, who display a high degree of initiative and professionalism in the performance of their duties. And the officers that are going to be receiving this award today are Officer Jason Carter, Devin Frederick, Alexandra Atkins, Jesse Baum, Sergeant Doug Buckert, and civilian employees Connie Smith, Donna Greer, and Doris Vidal. And I'd like to invite Officers Carter and Frederick up to the stage. And we'll have it down by the end of the day, but how this is going to go, I'll read the bio, tell you a little bit about each of the officers, and then I'll tell you what they're being recognized for. Officer Jason Carter has been with the police department for 4.5 years. He's currently assigned to evening shift. He also serves on the honor guard as well as a specialized response team. He's married to his wife, Lamora, and they have 2 children together, a son, Lane, and a daughter, Kaylin. Officer Carter is the son of Tim and Shauna Carter, and he has 2 siblings, Greg Carter and Melissa Sears. Devin Frederick, to the right. Officer Frederick has been with the department for 4 years. Throughout his career, Officer Frederick has served on both evening shift and night shift patrol. And Officer Frederick is a member of the Specialized Response Team as well as serving as a field training officer. Officer Frederick is married to his wife, Amanda Phillips. Let me tell you a little bit about what they did. And one of the things that you're going to see today is some of these awards are for catching bad guys. Some of them are saving lives. Some of them are both. I'll tell you, I was talking to my administrative sergeant before we started here. And one of the things as I read through these, there's a lot of good police work here. And I was reading, I was like, this is a shooting, this is a stabbing. I'm like, it's really not that bad here. But when you hear the awards, it sounds a lot worse than it is. But let me tell you about what they did. On July 11th, 2021, Officers Carter and Frederick were dispatched to an altercation between 2 brothers that resulted in a stabbing. Officer Frederick was the first person on the scene, and he quickly detained the suspect. Officer Carter arrived on the scene, entered the home, located the victim with a deep laceration to his left shoulder. The victim was conscious but complaining about having difficulty breathing. Officer Frederick was prepared and equipped with a first aid kit. The officers applied a chest seal to the laceration prior to the medics arriving. A paramedic from the ambulance crew advised Nemesh's supervisor that the chest wound injury sustained by the victim could have been fatal without proper and prompt treatment. The officer's rendering of medical aid to the victim that day prevented the injury from air from entering the wound and kept the injury from becoming worse and possibly fatal. The officers arrived on scene, reacted quickly to a volatile situation between siblings. They arrested the suspect and were instrumental in saving the victim's life. They're being recognized today for the Outstanding Performance Award for their heroic actions. Congratulations. Peter, you want to I always give them the chance to say something if they want to, and they always tell me no. Sergeant Buckert. Sergeant Buckert attended Texas State University in San Marcos, where he obtained a Bachelor of Science degree with an emphasis in criminal justice. He's been with the police department for 12 years. He spent the first 5 years of his career on night shift patrol, and then 5 years as a detective in the burglary and theft unit. In September of 2020, he was promoted to sergeant. He's currently assigned to the night shift patrol, where he's a field training supervisor. He's married to his wife, Michelle, and is a proud father of 2 daughters, Elizabeth and Abigail, which I saw some. Oh, there you are, right there in the front row. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Doug did, but kind of to set the stage for this. This was a really bad person. He committed a homicide, a home invasion, and a carjacking where he shot 2 people. And it was over a span of several days, I want to say 4 or 5 days, and Doug really was instrumental in taking all the pieces of the puzzle and putting it together and finally getting the guy to be able to charge him. And so on March 25th, 2021, we had a home invasion at 3 o'clock in the morning. The homeowners were in bed, asleep, and they were attacked with a metal instrument. They fought back, and when the suspect fled, he dropped a revolver at the scene. He stole their vehicle and left the area. Sergeant Buckert noted similarities between this incident and another home invasion, which resulted in a homicide of an elderly resident. And during that incident, she was also struck with a blunt instrument, and a revolver was stolen from her residence. Sergeant Buckert also recalled another incident where 2 individuals were carjacked in an apartment complex and then shot in the nearby parking lot. It was believed that all of these incidents were perpetrated by the same suspect. Based on the likelihood of the connection between all of them, Sergeant Buckert asked that detectives come out to the scene. Crime scene detective informed Sergeant Buckert of the name of a possible suspect from one of the previous incidents, and the suspect's tattoo from a booking photo was matched to the available surveillance video from this most recent home invasion, effectively linking him to the suspect to these crimes. The suspect was shown to have a local address near the location of the homicide of the elderly female. Sergeant Buckert took the initiative to have officers start checking that area, and they recovered the vehicle that he had stolen from the home invasion. They set up a perimeter. The suspect, they ultimately got consent to go into the house. The suspect was arrested, and they also recovered stolen property that was taken in the homicide several days earlier. Without Sergeant Buckert's knowledge, initiative, and drive to investigate the crime to the fullest extent, the apprehension of the suspect would have been delayed and the public would have remained in danger due to the suspect's violent nature. And I'm pleased to present Sergeant Buckert with the Outstanding Performance Award. Next award to be presented is a Meritorious Service Ribbon, and this ribbon may be issued to any officer who serves in a manner especially worthy of recognition for superior performance and professional excellence. The service rendered may be on or off duty, must be in the performance of duty and undertaken with no definitive risk to his or her own life or the fear of imminent bodily injury. Many times our calls for service, numerous officers are involved in these incidents, from the beginning when patrol gets there to the back end when detectives work a case, our crime victim liaison gets involved. And so this next case I'm going to tell you about has a lot of different layers. And I'm going to tell you this is probably one of the most heartbreaking cases that I've seen in a long time. And it was brought to my attention by one of the command staff members when it happened. And it wasn't brought to my attention at the time, but it's a pretty significant event. And when it was brought to me, the lieutenant said, this really has a significant impact because had they not intervened, this could have gotten a lot worse. And when you hear the details, which quite frankly are disgusting, you'll understand why. I'd like to invite Officers Turner, Vanderwerf, and Cervantes to the stage, as well as Officers Mack, Trevino, and Salinas. Hey, y'all are even going to stay in order. This is good. Start here with Officer Turner. Officer Turner's been with the department for 5 years. He's currently assigned to day shift patrol where he serves as a field training officer. Began his career in public service working for ambulance service here in Pasadena before going to work as a paramedic at LaPorte EMS in 2011. He's a member of the SWAT team as well as a medic for tactical medical operations. I'll tell you, during the onset of COVID, he was an invaluable resource to the department, the city, and myself as well. He's married to his wife Lauren for 9 years. They have 3 children, Carson, Clayton, and AJ. Next is Officer Vanderwerf. He's been with the police department for 5 years, currently assigned to day shift patrol and is a field training officer. He also served as a firefighter and EMT. He continues to use his knowledge and skills to serve as a member of our tactical medical operations team. He's married to his wife Alexis, and he attributes his success to his upbringing from his role models Jill and Gerard Vanderwerf. Officer Cervantes has been with the department for 5 years. He's a member of the Honor Guard as well as a field training officer. He's worked evening shift patrol in the past, but he's currently assigned to days. He's married to his wife Geraldine and enjoys spending his time off with her and their dogs. Officer Uchin Mack, make sure you're still in order. He's going to be receiving a couple awards today, so I'm going to read his bio this one time, and then if I read it every time, you'll have it memorized because he's done quite a bit of good work. So I'm going to read it this one time. He's been with the department for 5 years. He's currently assigned to days where he serves as a field training officer, and he's currently engaged to his longtime girlfriend of 10 years, Linda. And Officer Mack and Linda are expecting their first child in January of 2022. Officer Trevino's been with the department for 7 years. She's currently is assigned to the Family Violence Unit, and she served on the crisis negotiation team since 2010 as a RAD instructor, as well as being an adjunct instructor for the academy. She's been married to her husband Juan for 22 years, and they have 2 daughters together, Michaela and Layla. Officer Kimberly Salinas has been with the department for the past 13 years. She's worked evening shift patrol until 2013 when she went to the crime scene unit. And she's a proud 10-year member of the crisis negotiation team who will be recognized later today, and an adjunct instructor at the academy and a RAD instructor. She's a mother of 4 amazing children, Jay, Abby, Colton, and Delilah, and she's married to one of our investigators, Detective Michael Salinas. And so now I'll tell you a little bit about what they did. The first 4 here are being recognized for what they did on the front end. The last 2 are going to be recognized for what they did on the back end. On January 4th, 2021, Officer Turner responded to a call regarding human trafficking. A witness who worked at a local muffler shop called police after a female driving a vehicle approached him and told him he could have sex with a female in the front passenger seat of the vehicle and that a price could be negotiated later. The witness advised that the passenger in the front seat appeared to be a teenager and severely disabled, and while the witness was calling the police, the suspect left the area. Officer Turner collected the information from the witness and broadcast the suspect vehicle description to the other officers. Officer Vanderwerf located the suspect vehicle in the apartment complex, and both the suspect and passenger were still inside the vehicle. Officers Mack and Cervantes responded to the scene with Officer Vanderwerf, and since the suspect spoke primarily Spanish, Officer Cervantes provided translation. Officer Turner contacted the Human Trafficking Division of the Harris County DA's office. Once the suspect was identified by several witnesses at the muffler shop, charges of human trafficking of a child were accepted against the suspect. The passenger of the vehicle was determined to be 17 years old, suffered from severe major mental and physical impairments, which kept her confined to a wheelchair. It was also determined that the truly innocent victim of this case was the daughter of the suspect. The suspect's actions of taking advantage of her mentally and physically challenged daughter for monetary gain were horrific and heartbreaking. Thankfully, the actions taken by the officers that day ensured that the victim was removed from the abusive situation immediately, and it is an absolute honor to award them the Meritorious Service Ribbon. But before I do that, this is one of those ones that the first 4 officers did just a little bit more. And that just a little bit more was enough to bring this case to a resolution. I'm not going to say a good one, but brought to a resolution and to allow the mother to be charged and the daughter to be removed from that situation. So they truly are heroic for their actions that day, what they did to save that girl from this situation. So please congratulate them. Yours is on the other one, because you got another one. He's got another one. All right, before we get together. Y'all can stay there. And like I said, cases aren't always over once the bad guy, or in this case, the bad lady's in jail. There's still a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And the day after this incident, Sergeant Michael with the Family Violence Unit received an investigative referral from the Department of Family and Protective Services, and Sergeant Michael assigned the case to Detective Trevino. Detective Trevino, realizing the severity of the case, immediately contacted the victim, who was in the custody of CPS at Texas Children's Hospital. Detective Trevino realized that although the victim was almost an adult in terms of age, she actually had the mental equivalency of a young child. After the intensive investigation interview with the victim, Detective Trevino was very empathetic to her condition, especially given that she was a victim of sex crimes inflicted upon her by her own mother over an extended period of time. Detective Trevino contacted Detective Salinas, and the two of them went back to the hospital with some toys which they purchased with their own money, and spent time with the victim in order to provide her some comfort in the aftermath of a horrific situation. Detective Trevino and Detective Salinas are receiving an Outstanding Performance Award for going above and beyond the call of duty to help bring some normalcy and comfort to a young and disadvantaged victim. Officer Mack is receiving an Outstanding Performance Award for his actions at the original scene that helped rescue the human traffic victim from her plight. This case is a great example of working together, the department, and again, not only us, but the assistance of the DA's office in this case. So again, I want to congratulate the 3 at the end there for your efforts on this case. Thank you very much. Officer Mack, you might as well come back up. Leave your goodies there and then you can come back up. The next award is going to be the Distinguished Service Ribbon. This ribbon may be issued to an officer who saves a human life or prevents the consequences of a major crime in the performance of their duty, whether either on or off duty, and does so with a known fear or risk to their own life. The recipients of the Distinguished Service Ribbon today are Officers Cook, Perez, Strahan, Ludicky, and the other ones are not here. Officer Mack's the only one that's here. So let me tell you a little bit what Mack did. On the morning of November 8, 2020, officers were dispatched to a call for service involving the discharge of a firearm in the area of 301 Winona. Citizens called in to report a familiar male from the area was walking around carrying a pistol, which he'd fired at least at one occupied passing vehicle. Officer Cook, Mack, Strahan, and Ludicky responded to the area, and the male suspect was located. At one point, officers lost sight of the suspect, but later located him hiding inside of a barrel in the backyard of an occupied residence. The suspect brandished the weapon toward the officers before leaving his hiding place and walking in the middle of the roadway on a Sunday morning. The suspect had the weapon in his hand and was waving in the direction of numerous citizens outside their residences. The suspect would not comply with officers' orders to drop the weapon. Fearing for the safety of the innocent citizens as well as the police officers who were staged nearby in the direction of the suspect's path, Officer Mack discharged his rifle, striking the suspect and ending the life-threatening situation. The suspect was transported to the hospital and later recovered from his injuries. Officer Cook demonstrated leadership as a senior officer by directing other officers to refrain from using deadly force until such time as was absolutely necessary and safe to do so. Officer Perez reinforced the importance of officer safety and tactical distance when confronting the armed suspect in the backyard of the residence. And Officer Strahan originally located him and pursued him on foot while showing restraint by trying to communicate with the male and not immediately using deadly force. After the suspect was shot, Officer Strahan provided medical aid to the suspect, greatly increasing his chances of survival from his injuries. Officer Ludicky demonstrated his de-escalation skills by opening communication with the suspect and attempting to end the incident peacefully. However, the suspect, although being communicative, was unwilling to cooperate. The officers that day worked together as a team to bring that event to a conclusion with no injuries to the officers or the bystanders. And it's my honor to present Officer Mack with the Distinguished Service Ribbon for his efforts. I'd like to invite Officer Kalunga to come up to the stage. Officer Kalunga is a 6-year officer with the department. He's worked on night shift patrol for his entire career, and he's a member of the SWAT team and a field training officer. He's in a relationship with his girlfriend, Hannah Sosa. The event that Sergeant Douglas was recognized for, this is another one of the crimes that suspect committed. On March 23rd, 2021, night shift officers were dispatched to 1320 Scott Street in reference to a carjacking with 2 victims. Upon arriving at the scene, officers located a 21-year-old male and a 16-year-old female with multiple gunshot wounds. The male was stable and alert. However, the juvenile female victim was located 300 yards away from the male and suffered a gunshot wound to her upper chest that was life-threatening and in need of immediate medical attention. Prior to arriving at the scene, Officer Kalunga grabbed his medical kit and had it at the ready in the event it was needed. Once he arrived on scene, he made a quick and decisive assessment of the scene, demonstrated leadership by directing other officers on scene to ensure medical attention was given to both victims. Officer Kalunga retrieved 2 chest seals from his medical kit, which he purchased with his own money, and quickly placed them over the female juvenile's chest, entry, and exit wounds. He then clearly and concisely communicated with the responding medics once they were on scene. Officer Kalunga's quick and decisive actions that early morning without a doubt saved the female victim's life. HCA Houston Healthcare, which is the hospital here, they made a post to their Facebook page crediting the Pasadena Police Department's immediate and successful medical response to saving that juvenile's life. And really, it's not the department, that was Officer Kalunga's actions that day. And they said that she probably would not have survived had he not got there when he did and rendered the aid that he did. And Officer Kalunga has been commended for his actions that day with the Distinguished Service Ribbon. And he's no stranger to the stage, Officer Mack, if you'll come back up. And Officer Boynton, Sergeant Anderson, and Marshal Mills. Y'all will also come up as well. I'll start reading bios as they make their way up. Sergeant Anderson is in his 48th year of service to the department. I'm not going to tell you which one he is. He was on an interview the other day. I don't remember. It was Channel 11, Channel 13, and I think his own words were, he's one of the old dinosaurs that's left here. I think it was something along those lines is what he said. It says he's worked all 3 shifts, but I think he's worked just about everywhere in the department. He's also a resident historian. That's the other thing I'll ask. If James, what happened in 1982? He will tell you whatever happened, who was involved. He is a wealth of information. But he has served on all 3 patrol shifts, currently assigned to days where he supervises the South District as well as the Family Violence Felony Warrant Unit. He served in the following units throughout his career: a Detective Sergeant Investigator, during which time he was a member of the Officer-Involved Shooting Team and specialized in sexual assault investigations, Crime Stoppers, Supervisor for Auto Theft, and he was a Special U.S. Deputy Marshal assigned to the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force. He created and supervised the Felony Warrant Unit, and this unit, which he supervises on day shift, has now completed over 1,000 warrant arrests in the past 7 years, with no injury to any suspect or officer and with no recorded internal affairs complaints, which is important. He's married to his wife, AJ, and has 2 sons, Jeff and Jason, and 2 grandsons, Jacob and Jesse. Officer Mills, on the end, has been with the Pasadena City Marshal's Office for approximately 2 years of his 21-year law enforcement career. He began his lifelong career in April of 2000 with the city of South Houston, and he worked there for 6 years. And then in May of 2006, he went over to the School District Police Department, where he served on patrol as an instructor for 13 years. He's been married for 21 years to his wife, Heather. He has 2 sons and a daughter, Brendan, Dylan, and Elizabeth. Officer Boynton served in the United States Navy from 1981 to 1985. Joined the police department in April of 1986. And in his career with the department, he's worked all 3 shifts. Served 23 years with the Motorcycle Division, 26 years as an FTO, as well as being a member of the Gang Task Force, SWAT, and a Reconstruction Accident Investigator. He's received Officer of the Month twice and was nominated for Officer of the Year in 1988. He's married to his beautiful wife, Laura. Those are his words, not mine. So. And has 3 sons. He says that he owes his decision to be a police officer, his work ethic, and all successes to his mother, Roseanne, who, is she here? Oh, she is here, yep. And she used to work for us. Good to see you, Roseanne. And let me tell you a little bit about what these gentlemen did. On May 11, 2021, a shooting occurred at approximately noon in a business parking lot located at 3310 Pasadena Boulevard, right at lunchtime, busy. The female suspect shot and killed her common-law husband and fled the scene in her vehicle, which also had her 3-year-old son in the back seat. Officers located the vehicle in pursuit by Deputy Mills, Mack, and Sergeant Anderson ensued. During the pursuit, Deputy Mills realized that there was a child in the backseat of the vehicle. He utilized his PA system to attempt to convince the suspect to stop for the safety of the child. The suspect did not comply. Officers continued the pursuit for several minutes before the suspect vehicle was blocked by traffic, and the suspect struck several vehicles in front of her in an attempt to escape. She then placed her vehicle in reverse and struck Deputy Mills' vehicle, ultimately making it impossible for her to flee any longer. Officer Boynton and Sergeant Anderson contained the suspect vehicle from the front, while Deputy Mills had the vehicle contained from behind. Sergeant Anderson issued commands to the suspect to unlock the vehicle doors, to which she ultimately complied. Officer Boynton approached the vehicle and opened the front passenger door, and Officer Mack entered the vehicle and removed the suspect. She was taken into custody without incident. The pistol used in the shooting was in the front console, within arm's reach of the suspect throughout the entire incident. Information received during the follow-up investigation indicated the suspect intended on driving to the elementary school where her other 2 kids attended and to commit suicide with a handgun in the parking lot. It's quite possible that although the officers put themselves at considerable risk, they ultimately might have kept the suspect from harming herself in front of her own child and within close proximity to the elementary school full of children. All the officers approached an armed suspect, took effective action to contain the scene and arrest the suspect using the minimal amount of force necessary. It was their collective, decisive, and efficient actions that earned them the Distinguished Service Ribbon. Sure, absolutely.
I just actually wanted to thank everybody for the awards today. I want to thank the mayor and the police chief and their staff for being very supportive. We've had a lot of controversy in the last year or so about defund the police. That's not going to happen here. I appreciate everybody showing up. Everybody here did an excellent job. It's proud to be a member of this police department, and I've probably been here longer than most of y'all have been born, so, you know. And I'll be here for another year or so, but thank you for the attention. Thank you, Chief.
I overlooked one person because he wasn't sitting with the other council members, but I want to recognize Councilman Kerry Bass for coming, and thank you for being here. I'd like to invite Connie Smith and Donna Greer to crawl across everybody and get up here in the back corner over there. As they come up here, I'll read their bios. Connie's been with the police department for 4 years, and with the city for almost 10. She's a senior administrative assistant in special investigations. She has 2 daughters, Marcia Bickerstaff, who's married to Officer Kevin Bickerstaff with Santa Fe ISD Police Department, Kristen Snook, who's married to Officer Stephen Snook with the Morgan's Point Police Department. She also has 6 grandchildren, William, Harley, Lindley, Aubrey, Evan, and Clay. And Donna's been with the city of Pasadena for the past 18 and a half years. She's worked with the police department for the past 12 and a half years, and prior to that, she worked for the purchasing for 6 years. She's currently the public safety operations manager. I mean, I always tell people when they say, "What does Donna do?" She controls all the money. So most of the times we don't have any, but no, in all seriousness, she takes good care of us. Donna was born in Louisiana and graduated from the University of Louisiana with a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Management. And upon graduation, she moved to Pearland, where she currently resides. She's the proud mother of one son, Clifton Greer. So you just heard about the homicide and the actions those officers took to get the suspect in custody. There was a 3-year-old in the back seat. So at that point, we had a 3-year-old that we had to figure out who we were going to release the 3-year-old to. And those things take time. A lot of the suspect's family was in Louisiana at the time. And so, a bunch of policemen with a 3-year-old sometimes isn't a pretty sight. So these women stepped up in a big way. And so the 3-year-old was brought to the juvenile division of the police department while we made attempts to locate a family member. The juvenile was very reserved and scared. Connie was on her lunch break, purchased several items from the vending machine with her own money, sat with the juvenile and tried to reassure him while offering the snacks. Although the supervisor told Connie she could return to her lunch break, she elected to stay with the juvenile instead. Donna also tried calming the juvenile by getting down on his level and attempting to engage with him in order to make him more comfortable and less afraid. By the time a family member arrived at the police station, the juvenile's demeanor had completely changed. He was responding to Donna and playing with toys. He was no longer reserved and scared. These civilian employees could have easily had the attitude that it's not my job, but each of them set aside their primary responsibilities to help ease the fears of the scared child. Their selfless actions did not go unnoticed. They went above and beyond their job duties to help keep a scared little boy preoccupied so detectives could focus on finding his family. Truly a team effort, and they are worthy of being recognized with the Outstanding Performance Award. I'd like to invite Officers Atkins and Baum up. Officer Atkins graduated from the 76th Police Academy in 2019. She's currently assigned to night shift patrol. She's a member of the department's honor guard as well as the specialized response team. She's a proud dog mom to her 2 65-pound fur babies, Charlie and Rue. And she's also the proud daughter of Mandy and Jay Atkins. Jesse Baum was raised in League City, graduated from Clear Creek High School. He graduated from Sam Houston State University in 2011 with a degree in criminal justice. He entered the 67th class of the Pasadena Police Academy in 2013, and he worked both day shift and night shift patrol. Officer Baum is a field training officer and a member of the SRT team, and he's married to his wife Jen, and he is the father to 2 stepchildren, Ethan and Ryan. On July 6, 2021, at approximately 2:30 in the morning, Officer Atkins was proactively patrolling her district when she located a suspicious vehicle in the parking lot of Memorial Park. Officer Atkins approached the vehicle, found a female alone in the backseat of the vehicle crying and apologizing over and over, saying, "I'm sorry, Mama." The female noticed Officer Atkins and turned to face her. It was then that Officer Atkins noticed the female was holding a pistol to her head. Officer Atkins retreated from the vehicle and notified dispatch. Officer Baum responded to the scene to assist. While Officer Atkins and Baum were directing responding officers and attempting to communicate with the female, a call was received in dispatch from the female's mother, Tammy McGill, who is here today. Her mother advised that her daughter was feeling suicidal over a child custody matter. Officer Baum called the mother in order to get more information that could help the officers help her daughter. Officer Atkins was trying to talk to the female inside the vehicle with her PA system to no avail. Officer Baum was able to obtain the female's cell phone number from the mother and called her. Officer Baum spoke with the distraught female over the phone in an attempt to reach a peaceful resolution to her crisis. Officer Baum continued to communicate calmly with the female over the telephone for the next hour and a half during inclement weather. It was raining very heavy that morning and lightning. The crisis negotiation team ultimately responded to the scene. Since Officer Baum had established rapport with the female, the negotiators didn't take over until 4 o'clock in the morning when the call was disconnected. Ultimately, the call for service lasted for several more hours, did not conclude until after 10 o'clock, so almost 8 hours. At that time, the female agreed to exit her vehicle without her gun in order to get help. Officer Atkins remained at the scene until the female was safely out of her vehicle. and being helped despite her shift ending at 6 a.m. Due to the length of the negotiation, the female's mother was able to drive from the Dallas area and make it to the scene prior to it being resolved. Officer Atkins was able to keep the female's mother company once she arrived on scene prior to her female exiting the vehicle. Crisis negotiation team as a whole is going to be receiving an award for the whole unit and the part that they played in this, as well as some other incidents, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But both Officer Atkins and Baum displayed compassion and empathy while dealing with the female and helping her through her crisis. They're both being commended today for their steadfastness and dedication to reaching a peaceful and positive conclusion to a very stressful situation. I am proud to present them with the Outstanding Performance Award.
Thank you.
And the other thing I want to say is I would be remiss not to recognize our police service officers or the dispatchers that work behind the scenes. And I know the dispatchers that were in the dispatch center that night, Daniel Burden, Christian Rive, Jonathan Logston, Marissa Maldonado, and Stephanie Robledo, I know are sitting back over here. And I want to thank you for all that you do, because you guys truly are the unsung heroes oftentimes that nobody ever gets to see. Sometimes you don't get to know how these events end. You only get the crisis at the beginning. And I want to thank you for working through this and helping bring it to a successful conclusion. I think it was a day or two after this happened that I spoke to this woman's mother, Tammy McGill, and she was very appreciative of the actions of the officers that day and the difference that they made in her life and her family's life. And she said, I want to come and tell the officers thank you. And I said, you know what? I got the perfect forum for you to come do it. And so I'm going to invite Miss McGill to come up here and say a few words.
Hey, Pasadena. We came all the way from Dallas. I had to come. I told that job I won't be here on the 17th. I work for the VA. I want to give honor to God, to the police, and all my veterans. It takes a community, and it starts with trust in the Lord. You never know what your kid's gonna do when you're a parent. From when they this little to that big. My child was dealing with depression, going through a custody battle for her only child. This happened on July the 6th. She just got her baby back in her arms today. But when you learn how God works and the power of God, can't nobody stop it. I received a text. Mama, I don't want to live no more. I'm going to kill myself. Screaming and hollering. I didn't know where my child was. So I called Dirt Creek County first, because her room was in Dirt Creek. And they was like, man, we don't have any traffic stops. So I'm on the phone with the dispatchers. Thank you, dispatchers. And I'm like, please don't hurt my daughter. I don't know where she's at. She said she's in Dirt Creek, surrounded by police. The kids, internet kids, they watch these Set It Off. You know, they YouTube, this Google. Their head is confused. And then with all the stuff going on with the police around the world, they scared. They don't know. But life experiences. So this how it works, and I'm going to make it fast. When I got that call, I didn't know nothing else to do but get on my knees in my closet and pray. I didn't have nothing else to do but get on my knees and pray, because it was out of my hands. My child in Pasadena, Dirt Creek somewhere, I'm 4 hours away in Dallas with my grandchild. I don't know what the situation was. And she said, Mom, I'm not going out like this. That's from Set It Off, the movie. I said, what is this, a joke? I'm not going out like this. It's the police. I heard some police. Lord, no. Police right on time doing her job, making the rounds. Officer Atkins. That's my sister, y'all. Now. That's my sister. We family. So she approached. She seen a car seat. She backed up and called for backup. I'm on the phone with a dispatcher, And I'm screaming and crying, please don't hurt my child, don't hurt my child. And they said, hold on, ma'am. And a man's voice came. I didn't know who this man's voice was. All I know is my little African American daughter is 4 hours away, somewhere I don't know, by herself, surrounded by a police department. And she said she finna set it off. I don't know what's going on. And the officer, the voice was so calming. I never seen this man or knew this man till today. And I said, please don't hurt my child. I said, please, she just depressed. He said, man, we're not gonna hurt your child. I said, well, I'm all the way in Dallas. I said, can you move slow? I said, can you take your time and just give me time to get there? They gave me a number. They kept in touch with me. I left home with no ID, no money. I don't even know if I had underwear on. I just left, got my brother, and we came out. I didn't know if I'm calling the officer. Is my baby okay? This voice kept assuring me. And it started with me giving my faith and trust to God when I got on my knees and prayed in that closet, because it wasn't nothing I could do. And then this man's voice soothed me. It gave me a sense of peace where I wasn't worried. And we made it there in 4 hours. And Lord, here go all these police. What the heck? What this girl done did? All these cars and police blocked. The negotiator, the crime scene, the whole unit, the negotiator. I never thought, y'all know this part, but this is true. Your mission. If you know your mission of your job, if you're comfortable to say it, you can. If you can't because of what's going on, that's fine. The mission of Pasadena Police Department is to prevent harm, reduce crime, and protect the public by developing innovative approaches to crime and traffic safety while remaining committed, foregoing strong community partnerships. And this was done on July the 6th. This touched Dallas, Texas, and got me down here. Everybody was here. I can't remember the faces, but I remember standing in that rain. Officer Atkins was out for work. I was like, I know she hungry. She done spent the whole shift with my baby. Now she on the second shift. This girl done had 2 shifts. 2 shifts. So the police, not one time did I ever see a weapon drawn. Because, you know, we look for what's in the news. Because that's what they show. That's how they paint the picture. It wasn't not one weapon drawn, not one time. Where the negotiator at? That old man with the gray hair, where you at? Where you at?
Right back there in the back.
Hey, that's my friend. He was so cool. We threw the can in the car to talk to her, but she threw it back out. This girl was ready to end her life that day. But God had something different. God touched county to county, heart to heart, police to police. Officer Atkins, Officer Salinas, I don't remember their names. I remember I was soaking wet in that rain. Officer put his jacket on my back. After 8 hours of them trying to talk this child out this car, I said, please let me talk to her. She gonna listen to mama. They be like, you upsetting her. Child, she'll be all right. Because we not going out like this. And I remember a hand. I remember how your blood felt running through that hand because you held my hand. Who was that? Who held my hand in that rain and prayed with me? It was a man with blonde hair. Where are you? It was a hand. He held my hand. When I tell you Pasadena police showed up and showed out, I'm coming. I'm going to be here. And I want to thank each and every last one of you guys for what y'all do. That's not acknowledged. You go on YouTube and Facebook, it's always the bad stuff. But by the grace of God, my daughter's sitting right there today because you guys have a mission. You guys showed compassion. You guys stalled and took time. They weren't rushing. They wasn't antsy. It wasn't no power trip. It was no negative feeling at all in the name of Jesus. None. And from that day, when my daughter, when she crawled out that car, she gave her life to God. I witnessed that. When I tell you this police team was praying with me, surrounding me, one holding my hand, one got a bottle of water for me, the other one put the jacket on my back. Baby wasn't nobody but God. They don't got that on, y'all can't Google that on YouTube. They're not going to show this, but I'm going to tell it because I'm a living witness for what your guys' family do each and every day. And I pray that God keep you and protect each and every last one of y'all. And it started with the 911 dispatchers. It did. And it started with somebody that has to be a godly person to come with a piece of voice. It was God told me something first, and then this man did. And it was out of my hands. I had to follow the order of the law. We have laws and rules that we must follow. It's people out here doing things, hurting people, getting away with it. That girl baby been gone for 41 days. That boy took the baby, and guess what? It stopped today because he went to jail last night. Thank God for saving my child and for some criminal like that. See, what God got for you is for you. What he got for each and every last one of y'all is for you. And when my sister have her babies, I'm coming down here again. Cause we not gonna stop with the $2 now. That's a woman. That's where your mama at? Where my sister? Hey. Okay, I'm not gonna keep y'all cause I can keep going and going. Cause the Pasadena been good to me. Don't y'all take their money. Keep giving them what they need because they done a job well done. And I ain't never spoke for the police. But today is a new day, and I have a reason to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'll tell you this, it really does mean a lot to hear the thanks because it is a selfless job sometimes, and we do not hear thank you enough, and they don't do it for the thanks. But I was telling somebody outside before we began that events like this, they need that to be recognized for the good job that they do. And so thank you for making the drive down here and recognizing everybody. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Rene De La Portilla up to the stage. And he's going to receive the citizen commendation, which may be awarded to any citizen who risks personal safety in order to render aid to law enforcement or to prevent a crime. On May 4th, 2021, Officer Bailey responded to a local business in reference to a male suspect who had violently beaten a pregnant female and an employee of the store. Upon arriving on the scene, Officer Bailey located the male suspect lying on the floor inside the business. It was apparent to Officer Bailey that the suspect was possibly in the midst of a mental health crisis. As Officer Bailey attempted to communicate with the male, the suspect jumped up and began to walk away. When Officer Bailey reached out to stop the male from leaving, the suspect immediately struck Officer Bailey in the head and face, and a struggle ensued. The suspect grabbed Officer Bailey's taser from his holster on his duty belt, and Officer Bailey and the suspect began to wrestle for control of the weapon. During the struggle, the suspect discharged the taser, which fortunately missed striking Officer Bailey. Eventually, Officer Bailey was able to get the suspect into custody with the help of Mr. Rene De La Portilla. Mr. De La Portilla placed himself in harm's way without hesitation, not only to protect and defend another citizen inside of the store, because he came to the aid of the employee that had been assaulted prior to Officer Bailey getting there, but also to render aid to Officer Bailey. Mr. De La Portilla did all this despite the fact that he had already been assaulted and injured by the suspect. On behalf of the entire department, it's my honor to recognize you today for your selfless act of bravery, for not only coming to the aid of a Pasadena police officer without hesitation, for also protecting a store full of innocent citizens and employees, all while injured. You're a true hero and a friend to every officer at the department and a role model for the citizens of Pasadena and beyond, and you are truly worthy of this recognition.
I just want to say thank you very much, but to you all, the fact that you came so quickly, we were in the middle of a crisis situation, not sure exactly what to do with this violent individual in my store that had already hurt one of my employees. But you guys were there quickly. You helped us. You helped calm what was a very tragic situation, and you did an incredible job. And again, you don't hear it enough, but thank you very much for being so quick and responding. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, I have 3 more awards. The next awards are going to be for several units. They're unit citations, which may be awarded to a unit, division, or an individual whose level of performance is worthy of recognition. And the units that are going to be receiving awards today are the Crisis Negotiation Team, the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders and Fugitive Task Force, and the Personnel and Training Division. I'd like to invite the CNT folks up here, please. As they make their way up, I will tell you why they're receiving the award. There's been several stories today of the individuals experiencing some type of personal crisis. And this is something that we deal with on an all too frequent basis these days. And the Pasadena Police Department, we're fortunate to have a trained team of crisis negotiators who can be called upon for such situations. I don't bite. Some recent examples of their efforts include the following. On April 15th of this year, we had a suicidal subject that climbed approximately 130-foot tall radio tower. And CNT officers were lifted on the boom of a fire truck 100 feet into the air. That's why I'm not on CNT. In order to negotiate with the individual face to face. After speaking to the subject for nearly 3 hours, he willingly came down from the tower and was transported to a mental health facility for help. On June 28th, CNT officers responded to dispatch in order to talk to an individual who called 911 wishing to incite a suicide by cop incident. Officers spoke to the subject for nearly 4 hours and eventually encouraged the caller to self-admit to a local hospital. CNT officers have continued to check in with the subject and encourage him to reach out for help when he's needed. You heard the story about the role they played on July 6th with Miss McGill's daughter and bringing that to a successful resolution after 7.5 hours of negotiations. These peaceful resolutions and many more are a testament to the abilities and training of the entire crisis negotiation team. They set the example of how to effectively communicate, actively listen, and calmly de-escalate intense and stressful situations. Now, I'm presenting the team with this unit citation in order to recognize their dedication and willingness to help whenever and wherever needed. And members of the team at the time of the submission are Mark Adams, Matthew Giacomuzzi, Anthony McQueen, Kimberly Salinas, Joe Wilson, Mike Biggs, Craig Hamilton, Ivan Mascaro, Ivan Santianes, Bobby Caro, Daniel Jenkins, Casey Phelan, Kevin Traxler, Greg Carlson, Mike Ludicky, Leticia Robles, and Sylvia Trevino. Congratulations.
I would just like to say, first of all, congratulations to these men and women that are up here, as well as a big thank you. It is because of their dedication and effort that we do have so many peaceful resolutions. Since this letter went out, we've had 3 more that these officers have stepped up, and each one resulted in a peaceful, good outcome. So I appreciate their time, their dedication. I'm very blessed to call this not my team, but our team, because we are a family. And I'm just super excited to see what they can do in the future. So thank you for this honor.
Invite members of the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders and Fugitive Task Force up. Sergeant Vic Bewley. Officer Wiley, Officer Hurst, and Deputy U.S. Marshal Terry. On May 24, 2019, the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force performed their first arrest as a unit. I told you who's in the unit. This arrest was a homicide suspect and set the stage for the following years. Since then, the unit's hard work and dedication has led to the successful apprehension of over 240 dangerous and violent fugitives in Pasadena and the surrounding area. Some of the warrant arrests include 9 homicides, 2 felonies on suspects who were subjects of interest in homicide investigations, 2 manslaughters, 1 attempted murder of a police officer, 88 aggravated assaults, 30 aggravated robberies, 11 robberies with bodily injury, 7 kidnappings, 20 felony family violence, 14 federal, and 39 violence or sexual assault against children or elderly warrants, and many more for violent or assaultive nature. Fortunately, none of the arrests resulted in serious injuries to any officers, suspects, or third parties, and there have been very few instances of officers having to use physical force to effect an arrest, which is a testament to the training and the planning and the attention to detail of each of these 3 men. Over the past 2 years, the task force has had the opportunity to work major investigations with numerous outside agencies, and some of the successful investigations that ended in arrests that removed extremely high-profile and violent criminals off the streets that include a serial rapist and kidnapper from North Carolina who kidnapped and sexually assaulted women who were working out of a local park. He then fled to Texas, and it was discovered that he was regularly visiting a local gym in Pasadena. Officers Hurst and Wiley coordinated with the FBI task force to arrest the suspect without incident. A suspect killed a Nassau Bay police sergeant during a traffic stop. Officer Hurst contributed valuable information which helped in the apprehension of the suspect after several hours of an extensive manhunt. Officer Hurst investigated and closed a cold case involving a suspect who kidnapped and sexually assaulted 2 females in 1993 by locating the suspect, coordinating his arrest with several outside agencies. Officer Wiley investigated and arrested a possible homicide suspect who was also wanted for 2 aggravated assaults, and aggravated kidnapping, and various other felony warrants. These are just a few of the examples of the hard and dangerous work that they do on a daily basis. Their collaborative work ethic, integrity, and dedication of the members of the task force is what earned them this unit citation, and I'm pleased to present it to all 4 of you.
Thank you, Chief, and thank each and every one of you for showing up today. First off, I just want to say, congratulations to these guys. It's because of their professionalism and their work ethic that we've had a very successful unit, and I'm sure we'll continue to have this success for the duration of the unit. I also want to thank the chain of command. They've been very, very supportive throughout since we began this about 2 years ago. Chief Bruger decided that he wanted to be a part of the task force. The task force has several different agencies, but it's spearheaded by the U.S. Marshal Service. Since then, Chief Styron, Lieutenant Warnke was our very first commander, Lieutenant McGill, and then now currently it's Lieutenant Murray. So they've been very successful. And finally, I think it's very, very important. I also want to thank our family. This is sort of an unusual job. There's several different jobs in the department, and some of you can totally empathize, but bad guys don't have working hours like we do, right? So they're not 9 to 5 kind of guys, so we can't be either. So there's many times we have to get up early in the morning, before the crack of dawn, stay late, get the phone call at dinner time, or even jump up, put our cape on, and go take care of what we need to take care of. So, when we do that, the family's there to take care of things, and we really can't do this without them. So we really appreciate that as well. So again, thank you very much. Congratulations to everybody here who's gotten the awards, and we'll see y'all out there. Thank you.
I'd like to invite the Personnel and Training Division up. This award commendation was submitted in 2020, but because of COVID and other anomalies, the award wasn't presented at the time. And this submission highlights accomplishments from 2018 to 2020, but truly continued all the way up to today. During that time, the following officers were assigned to the Personnel and Training Division. Pasadena Chief City Marshal Richard Willey was a sergeant over the academy at the time. Officers Bobby Caro, Sean Coulter, Jermaine Garrett, Erwin Gonzalez, April Lanzaveros, Mark Pena, Jason Bright, Mike Huffman, Scott Ragsdale. Lieutenant Mike Welch is the current commander of the division, and Sergeant Josh Ridings is the current supervisor, and Alyssa Sanchez is a civilian administrative assistant. She's the one who keeps everything together over there, I'll just say that. So. Let me tell you some of their highlights. Started with researching and recommending a new civil service test, which resulted in significant improvements in our applicant pool without compromising the quality of our candidates. The hiring and local civil service rules were updated in conjunction with HR. We have a new academy building, was transformed from sketches on a blueprint to brand new state-of-the-art high-tech training facility in a little over 2 years, and it is an amazing facility. In late 2018, the staff was informed that the incoming cadet class size was not sufficient to meet the staffing needs of the department, because we do that a lot, throw last-minute things on them, and they always adapt. And so what they did was they went and began the hiring process for another academy. And so while they had one going on, we ended up with a modified academy without compromising any of the training that they were providing. The firearms training staff implemented a new video analysis system which provides immediate feedback to the students on how to be more efficient, safe, and accurate with firearms. Additionally, they developed a vehicle tactics class which has demonstrated its worth in numerous incidents on the street. They researched, recommended, and then trained personnel on a wrap restraint system, which effectively decreases instances of injuries to suspects and officers when controlling combative subject. They researched, recommended, and then trained personnel on the Taser 7, which represented a quantum leap in technology for electronic control weapons. In 2019, the city marshals and the fire marshals were moved underneath the umbrella of the police department. They quickly responded, trained all those personnel to bring them up to the police department standards, and it put us all under one training and policy umbrella. They were not immune to COVID, and in 2020, we had begun an academy, and I would say it was probably a month into the academy when we had to shut down the academy, which is a domino effect. And each time they adapted, I never heard anybody complain, and they were always, just rolled with the punches. In-service training was almost completely shut down for all of 2020 because of COVID. They adapted by creating and publishing online training videos to cover some of the topics, and they're currently being evaluated at TCOL to be an online training provider in the future. And I just want to tell you, personally, even as recent as 3 weeks ago, we have a cadet class going on right now, and 3 of our cadets ended up with COVID, and in that tight quarters over there, having to adapt and overcome. And I think it was a Sunday night I was talking to the chain of command over there and trying to figure out what we were going to do. And by Monday morning, they had Zoom instruction up and never missed a beat and were able to keep going. And so that is a testament to their professionalism, the determination, and again, anything I throw to them, they adapt. It would be impossible to list everything that they've accomplished, but again, everything is always changing. The world of policing has changed significantly in the last year, and we have had to adapt to some of that. And so they have done that time and time again and have done a tremendous job of it. And so I am recognizing them with the unit citation for all of their efforts. Richard, you want to say something? Josh? I'll say something.
First, I want to thank everybody for being here. All my day shift guys, my current command, all the awards that everybody received today, very well deserved. I'm proud to be a part of it and proud to work with you guys. The staff here did great things, still do great things every day. A lot of what happens with police work, how we get here today, you hire the best people you can, you train them the best you can, and then you let them do their job. And this staff has done such a good job with that. Chief Willie, now Chief of the Marshals, was Sergeant for a good part of this. We completely changed our testing protocols, completely changed our physical standards for the department, brought everything under umbrella where it was defensible. And, for the first time, ran 2 academies in a year. I could go on and on. It's a great training staff, great professional staff. It turns out great trained professional officers, and that's how we end up with days like today. I'm proud to be a part of it.
Good afternoon. I'm just glad I didn't have to follow Miss McGill. I keep it brief. As Lieutenant Dombroa said, the things we accomplish at the Academy, we could go on and on about. If you've heard me speak before, though, I'll tell you, and I'll say it again, it doesn't get accomplished by 1 or 2 people. It's these people who come in day after day after day, put the boots on the ground, that are committed to making the best officers have the best training, and have our best department. To them, again, I know I've moved on, but my heart's always with you. Thank you.
My part is done. I'm about to turn it over to the Harris County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council presentation. I'm going to invite Olivia Rivers with she's the CEO of the Bridge Over Troubled Waters up. Let me set the stage for a minute. So our vision statement says that in part, we're committed to being recognized as a leader in law enforcement. The one thing I'm going to tell you right now is the one thing that policemen really hate is change. And we have had to change to a large extent over the last year really quickly. And with that, one of the things that about 2 years ago, the Bridge and the DA's office approached me about this danger assessment form for law enforcement, also known as a DAIL form. And it's designed for intimate partner violence, and it's a risk assessment tool to see which victims are at most risk for homicide. And I don't know if anybody's seen the news today, but it's actually, I say fitting, it's not a good thing. But I was watching it in the last 24 hours in the Harris County, there have been 3 domestic violence homicides. And so I thought it was fitting, that we talk about this. And again, anytime we put something new in the hands of the officers, like I said, it has changed drastically. And, it's just one more thing. And policing is not as simple as it was, 20 years ago when I started, or 48 years ago when Sergeant Anderson started. It is much more complicated. And so I completely understand, the frustration with the line level officers at times when we give them one more thing. However, when I give it to them, they do it, and they do it well. And this program would not be successful if not for the men and women that are out there on the front lines making the calls and filling those forms out. And so I want to recognize, all the patrol officers that are out there, because they're the ones that unfortunately end up with the brunt of a lot of the changes. But they do it. And the unfortunate part is oftentimes you don't get to see the back end and the results of the good work that you do and the lives that you save. And so I'm going to invite Ms. Rivers to come up, and she wants to recognize some of our folks.
Thank you, Chief Brooker. Good afternoon, everyone. I have the pleasure of serving this community as the CEO for the Bridge Over Troubled Waters. And for those that do not know, we are a crisis center that provides services to survivors of trafficking, domestic violence, and sexual assault. And it's a privilege to be able to be partnered with Pasadena Police on that, because we could not do the work we do without them doing the work that they do out on the streets. And something that has been historically kind of a joke, but not, is how do advocates and police officers get along? And we get calls from agencies across Texas saying, how are you guys such great friends with your police department? And we're like, we give them donuts and coffee, which we do. Every year we do like a coffee with cops, and we invite them and we give them donuts, and they like us. But honestly, for those of you who know anything about police work, it's not easy. And so I just want to thank everyone who serves this community. And for those that have ever been on patrol and you get a call to come to the bridge to stop a fight or to confront, an abuser, we thank you for that, because you guys come immediately. We never have to wait more than 5 minutes for a call from you guys, because you guys know that the work that we do is serious, and we're just so grateful for you guys. So we do have some awards we want to present. But before we do, I just want to say, the DOJ puts out a report every year, and 40% of law enforcement fatalities are those that are responding to domestic violence calls. So our officers that are showing up at these homes are in a dangerous situation. And now that we have the DVHRT program, we've been able to really make some advancements in ensuring not only that perpetrators are held accountable, but that survivors are getting protective orders at amazing rates thanks to the DA office and the work that they're doing. And this partnership means so much to our survivors, who now are able to have lives that are free of domestic violence. So we do have some awards that we want to share with 5 amazing people from PPD, and I'm going to call their names, and if you guys can come up here. The first is Chief Josh Brugger. I just wanted to make sure I had your titles right. No, stand up. The second is Sergeant Craig Hamilton. course, we have Sergeant Scott McGill. The amazing victim advocate, Mercedes Santamaez. And Lieutenant Thomas Warnicki. So whenever Alicia and I were just sitting it was a meeting after a meeting, and she said, hey, I have an idea. Why don't we bring DVHRT to Pasadena? And mind you guys, this program, that we are the second police department, the second community in this country that is doing the DVHRT program, only after Cleveland, Ohio, where it was first piloted. So the people, the men and women that are standing before you, they are literally leading the movement to ending domestic and sexual violence in our communities, and we do not take that lightly. And Alicia, I know, is gonna talk more about that program, but I just wanna say thank you to Chief Josh, because when Alicia presented this idea, we were already doing it in Harris County, and she said, do you think your chief would be interested? I'm like, heck yeah, and I hadn't talked to him, so thank you for not making me out to be a liar and for being willing to do it. And then to like my best friend in a police uniform is to Sergeant Hamilton, who literally said yes to everything we asked. We're like, would you guys be willing to do this? Would you guys be willing to do that? He never told us no. He said, whatever you guys need to make sure that we keep these bad guys off the streets, we will give it to you. And to all the police officers that had to get trained on how to use the Dale DVHRT, thank you for your patience. Thank you for believing in us and making sure that this program worked. And Mercedes, you're a rock star. I had to practice not saying another word, but you are a complete awesome rock star, former police officer. Her passion for survivors is out of this world. She is the first one that's going to contact them, making sure that they're safe, making sure that they have everything that they need. Your follow-up is amazing, and she provides the whole DVHR team with statistics every month, and so thank you for that, to helping us to believe that this program is being successful. And then of course, Sergeant Scott Michael, I have to really try not to call you Michael Scott, I'm sorry. Scott Michael. Thank you for taking over once Hamilton transitioned. You've been awesome. I've heard such great things about you. I don't know you as well, but your name has just been so just like honored by all of the police officers, so thank you for what you do. And then also to Lieutenant Warnicki, who I've been able to grow up with through Impact Pasadena. He's part of the second best class. I was part of the first best class, but his leadership as a young officer is really just such a dynamic role model for not just police officers, but also for the young men. Studies show that young men who witness abuse are 3 times likely to become abusers themselves. So when you have men in uniform showing up and being friendly and showing that they can be kind and compassionate without violence, that really does something for our youth. So thank you for your example. So thank you to everybody out there, but also to these 5 amazing souls. Thank you so much. Also, we need your awards back because we have to do something with them. So I'm gonna take those back, but you'll get them back.
We have several partners that we'd like to speak about this amazing collaboration. So I'd like to introduce Denise Onken and Mary McFadden, and they're both with the DA's office.
So I don't know how to follow anyone in this crowd. This is an amazing event, an amazing ceremony, and we are just so pleased to be here to recognize all of you for the hard work that you do, for giving us the evidence, the cases, so that we've got some accountability in our community, which is sometimes lacking, especially in domestic violence. I'm Mary McFadden. I'm the Division Chief of our Domestic Violence Division at the District Attorney's Office. And with me today is Denise Onken, who is the Bureau Chief of our Special Victims Bureau, which covers a lot of the areas that you heard about today: sexual assault, child fatalities, domestic violence, elder abuse, animal cruelty, pretty much anything that can be linked into domestic violence, we're a part of at the District Attorney's Office. You know, when I wake up in the morning, I always look at my news, and I got the tickler, and I always go, is it going to be a good day or a bad day today? And today, the news tickler said, at least three domestic violence homicide in the last 24 hours in Harris County. And I always think to myself, what a tragedy Because the one thing that we know about domestic violence, about intimate partner violence, is it is preventable. We can prevent it because it's predictable. Now, a lot of people go, well, how do you know what's in someone's mind? Well, you use assessment tools like danger assessments to talk to victims, to talk to survivors, and to say, what's happening in your household? Share with us what's going on. And what we've learned is that through assessment tools, like a danger assessment, we're able to predict and prevent survivors from ongoing high lethality issues, from future danger, from police officers being hurt and often killed at these domestic violence scenes. So when we know the consequences, we have to, as Chief Brugger said, do a little more. The little more in this case is a danger assessment. And while danger assessments aren't novel ideas, we've been doing them for years now. Our domestic violence providers, our social workers. What's novel in your community is that law enforcement has picked up the mantle. Law enforcement is talking to the survivors immediately after the trauma. They're learning information that we may not have ever gotten. They're connecting them with the providers. They're giving them a chance. They're also giving us a chance at the district attorney's office to look not at just one side, which is historically what we've seen, an offender side, but to look at an offender and a survivor side to see a full picture. And with that full picture, we're allowed to make better requests for accountability, better requests for bonds, better requests for safety measures. Pasadena has been doing a wonderful job for, going on 2 years now, I believe. We at the DA's office have just recently been able to connect through technology. As of July 1st through yesterday, we had 49 domestic violence intimate partner cases where the danger assessment law enforcement made it to the charging instruments, which meant we were able to make appropriate bond requests and safety measure requests. Of those, we have had significant increases in bonds, which for domestic violence victims creates a cooling off period. It allows that survivor the space to talk to our providers, right? To decide how they need to handle their situation, whether it's to leave, whether it's to go to a shelter, whether it's to stay. It's up to the survivor and what that survivor is ready to go through. So I have to, on behalf of the District Attorney's Office, on behalf of Ms. Onken and DA Ogg, thank you, Chief Brewer, for seeing the vision. Not many law enforcement agencies go, let me think outside the box, let me make my crew do more work. I know it's more work. I see your forms. I know what you have to do because I put some of those measures in place, so thank you. Thank you for doing that little more, because that little more might save a life. So to all of the staff, Chief Brugger, to the command staff, thank you. We really do appreciate the support and the hard work from our community and from our law enforcement agencies.
Thank you, Mary. My name is Denise Onken. I'm one of the bureau chiefs at the Harris County DA's office. A long-time assistant DA, 35 years, not quite to the 48, but 35 years. I'm here on behalf of District Attorney Kim Ogg, and she really wanted to be with all of you today, Chief Brugger and all of your troops, to really thank you for your innovations in policing. And let me just say, as the third largest law enforcement agency in the county, you guys are outstanding. And I am truly in admiration of not only every case talked about today, but every officer that has been out there and has contributed to the wonderful agency, Chief Brugger, that you have had here in Pasadena. Thank you all. I have to say that this innovation with the DALE, the Danger Assessment for Law Enforcement, I've been on many of the phone calls and many of the collaborations. Sergeant Michael, thank you so much. He had a lot of patience in working with our IT area in order to get this done. It's not necessarily the job of every sergeant to have to do that. But Chief Brugger, rolling this out to all your patrol officers the way you did, let me say you are admired, not only by the Harris County DA's office and all the assistant district attorneys, but you are admired by other law enforcement in this county who have not been able to accomplish this yet. You are admired by other law enforcement agencies in the state who have not been able to accomplish this yet. as well as the country. And everyone is talking about this across the country. Pasadena, Texas, Pasadena PD is up front and center. And on behalf of District Attorney Kim Ogg, I want to thank each and every one of your officers for their contributions every day that you give to this community. So thank you, Chief, for having us. We appreciate it.
Good afternoon. My name is Alicia Nezzi. I have the pleasure and honor of working with a domestic violence high-risk team whose entry is going to be the danger assessment for law enforcement. So when people think about this team and they think about what we're doing, I'm so glad that Ms. Onken and Ms. McFadden were able to speak to it a little bit, because what we're doing right now is changing the way that we respond to high-risk domestic violence survivors in Harris County, the third largest area in the United States. We are not kidding when we are starting to see some really significant successes in shifting in the way that we respond, how we hold individuals accountable, and what we do. Sadly, Harris County leads the state in the most intimate partner violence homicides we have for several years. And so this innovative program, so it was really great, Ms. McGill, when we were talking about innovative programs with the mission statement, is such a beautiful match. Because of what you're doing with the Dale, it then goes to a team of individuals that consist of the Bridge Over Troubled Waters, our fantastic DV provider, the DA's office, specialized prosecutors, our counsel, who's able to sit there, and then of course Pasadena. We talk about these cases. We meet twice a month to discuss the cases and to make sure they continue to be safe and stabilized. It's an amazing work, and I'm very privileged and honored to be able to do it. We've seen, as I said, significant successes, and it's just by you guys asking those questions on scene. It's amazing. So I would be remiss if I didn't thank the leadership of the Pasadena Police Department, of course, Chief Bruger and your team, as well as the leadership at the Bridge, Olivia Rivers and Cynthia Sullivan and her team. The DA's office, of course, DA Ogg and her team, as well as the integral members of our team who meet every single month and are in constant conversation about these cases. That's Crime Victim Liaison Mercedes Santillanes. We have DAs Mary McFadden and Ryan McLaren. Nathan Moss was a part of our team at one time. High-risk social workers Norma Alanis and Alejandra Segura, and the good folks of the Domestic Violence Division under the guidance of Capriva Hutchison and Leisha Thomas. Our good friends, of course, at the Bridge, Christy Wheelis, Cristos Cisneros, and my dear colleagues at the Council, Nidia Cantu and Amy Johnson, as well as my supervisors, Amy Smith and Barbie Brashear. I want to thank everybody for taking a chance on this program. It's for all of your hard work, and most of all, your passion and dedication that's really making this difference. And so with that, I just want to ask that Sergeant Michael and Mercedes, you can come up here. We have some awards and some little tokens of appreciation. We're a nonprofit. We would give you all sorts. I was joking around with Sergeant Bauman. I was like, I want to do fireworks. I want to do, and then she was like, all right, tone it down. And so anyway, but we do have a little something for you.
So I first wanted to say, man, what a great day, right? Everybody's getting these awards. We're back in the same room together celebrating. This is something that we haven't done in a long time. And man, I'll tell you what, I'm excited to see it. I know everybody else here is excited to see it too. So my part has already kind of been covered quite a bit. I think somebody stole some of my comments that I was going to say. But so I'm going to go over some of the names again. But, I wanted to say, first of all, I'm kind of a quote guy. I'm a quote and analogy guy. So Mahatma Gandhi once said that the future depends on what you do today. And I can guarantee you that everybody's names I'm about to say, they believe in that. Okay, they live that every day. So with the Harris County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council, I wanted to thank that Alicia Nuzzi, Amy Smith, Amy Johnson, and Nidia Cantu. Those are just the ones that are here today. I know I'm going to miss a bunch of people probably, but there's no way I can cover how many people are involved in the program that we do. With the Harris County DA's office, Denise Onken is here for DA Kim Ogg. Thank you for being here. Mary McFadden, the division chief, and Norma Alanis is here. And then the Bridge Over Troubled Waters, Olivia Rivers. thank you so much for being here. Cynthia Sullivan and Christy Wheelis, thank you. And this goes way outside of these groups. There's a lot of groups that we deal with, but and the warrant division with day shift with Sergeant Anderson, thank you so much for following up on the backside of this to get these guys in custody, to get these suspects in custody, and then also with the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force. We couldn't do it without you. In fact, this morning I was given notice that there was a pretty significant warrant that was served by the Violent Offenders Task Force this morning. So thank you so much for everything that you guys do and going out there and serving these warrants. So one of the analogies that I use is an arrow. They kind of wanted me to do this. I don't know why. But so the officers are the tip of the arrow. They really are. So they're only on the front side of it, and they only see what they're doing when they're actually filling the form out on the scene. They don't ever see the stuff that happens behind the scenes, the lives that it affects. And there is a ton of good work that is never seen. The body of the arrow is going to be all of the supporting agencies that we have, but then we have the coordinating council and the DA's office are going to be the fletching or the feathers of the arrow, guiding our direction and just making sure that we're going the way we need to go. So that's the analogy that I use. Before we read these awards off, I'm going to have Mercedes Santillanes kind of tell you a little bit about the program, a little bit about what she does on our end on the law enforcement side of it.
Okay. So I'm Mercedes Santillanes. I'm the crime victim liaison for Pasadena Police Department. I'm the very passionate advocate that's always calling dispatch or the jail or the officers and the victims and saying, I'm that crazy lady that has all this help and all this passion and drive. So if you don't remember anything else, just remember my name and call me back. And I'm here and I'll help you when you're ready. When you're ready, it's on your terms, how you want it. And if nothing else, I'm here to listen. I love this job. They say your goal is to have the job that you love, and I love this job. Getting paid is a bonus. Keep paying me though. But I am very passionate. I have a very supportive husband. I couldn't do it without him. He watches my kids. He does daycare and school drop-off. So thank you, husband, for all your support and encouraging Sergeant Hamilton to interview me. Thank you. But the work that we do is, like they said, nothing that we've ever done before. The team that we have, I mean, I don't think, like Norma and Nydia and the council and the bridge, I wish you guys could be a fly on the wall to see how much work and passion goes into these cases. These cases are high risk, and that means these victims, basically we're helping them understand that they are at risk for serious bodily injury or homicide. And the services that we're able to provide and getting them connected to permanent interviews for permanent protective orders, cameras, ring cameras, and just GPS monitoring, higher bonds and things. That's so great. It's something that's unheard of. And so the fact that we're doing that here, Sergeant and I read every case with every Dale, and there's a lot of them. And it's just amazing to see what the officers do. The ones that have really taken it and ran with it and put their trust in me and like help to make this program work, because they hear, they're the ones out there. And so they'll see something that doesn't even require a DEL, but because of the circumstances and the history and all the other things involved, they'll still refer the case to me, and that helps gets the victim identified through another route as high risk and gets them these same services that otherwise we wouldn't have been able to identify them. So thank you for trusting me. Thank you for taking my calls, and thank you for going above and beyond. Some of the officers being recognized today are just that I called and I said, hey, that's my high-risk victim. Can you please go out and do X, Y, and Z? Or, hey, this is the high-risk victim. We can't find them. Can you please go out and use your resources? And none of them ever told me no. And actually, because of their phone calls to me, again, was another method in getting these victims identified and getting services to them. And so we couldn't have done it without you. And I really wish you could see the end result, because there are a lot of good, happy endings. And you guys, your work is amazing. I appreciate you taking the change and running with it. And Sergeant will give you the rest of the info.
So she wants me to give you the numbers. Okay, numbers are important for what we do. Okay, it justifies what we do, and it shows that it actually works. So our program began in February of 2020. We all know that was a very interesting year for everybody. So since then, we've done 18 months with this program. It started off as a pilot program. It has now become a permanent program. This program is growing. It's growing. So this is only for intimate partner violence cases, and then when one of these is filled out, the DAIL form. So since February of 2020 until the end of July, we have 1,012 DAIL forms have been filled out. Okay, that is a significant amount of intimate partner violence. Out of all of those, 272 of them have been high-risk cases, which means that they had the greatest potential for increasing violence or homicide. Out of all those, 232 families, I'm going to say families because it's individuals, but it affects more than just one person. It affects everybody that's connected with the family. 232 individuals have received services from the bridge or from additional entities. That's incredible work. That's the work that I'm talking about that the officers don't see. You cannot talk about how great it is. So out of all those, 389 charges have been filed on those cases that we have. So I want to give the officers a round of applause. If you guys can give officers a round of applause, because that is some fantastic work that they've done. Okay, so we have a bunch of officers. I'm going to read off their names. Some may be here, some may not. If you can hold the applause until the end, because we're going to have them all come up here, and then we can all give them an applause at the same time. Okay. So I'm going to start off with we have Officer Alvarez, Officer Bonzel, Officer Boyden. Oh, I'm sorry. And when I read your name, if you could come stand up here in the front, it may be crowded up here on the stage. Officer Bonzel, Officer Carter, Officer Cervantes, Officer Cook, Officer Deaver, Officer Dixon, Officer Lozano, Officer Ludicky, Officer Jose Martinez, Officer Mascaro, Officer Nisselbeck, Officer Page, Officer Perales, Officer Regmaniak, Officer Rice. He's actually a detective. He's my guy. I don't know why I just said that. Officer Rivera, Officer Sanchez, Officer Sentianas, the Ivan version. Officer Schneider, Officer Scott, Sergeant Dudley, Officer Torres, Officer Traxler, Officer Turner, Officer Vanderwerf, Officer Vega, Officer Vela, and Officer Wilson. If we can all give them a round of applause. So while they're handing those out, I'm basically just going to say they're getting recognized because they have done a fantastic job consistently with these kinds of cases. They go above and beyond. They take the extra minute to make the difference. Sometimes it only takes 5 minutes, and you can change somebody's life forever. And that's what's important with this, and this is what we're stressing about it. So I can't thank them enough. I'm sure that they would do it in a heartbeat. But so, like I said, I'm a quote guy, so I'm going to give you another quote, and I'm going to end it with this. This is from John Quincy Adams, and this kind of it kind of portrays what these officers are about, as well as many, many others in this department that are not here today. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. And these guys are leaders, 100% leaders.
I won't make them crawl all back in there. That wraps up today's ceremony. Like Sergeant Michael said, this really was a great day, and there is so much good work that goes on that really goes unrecognized. But for those of you today that received awards, and really just all the men and women in the department, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the work that you do every day and going out there and facing danger and not knowing how the day is going to end. But again, thank you all. God bless you, and be careful. Thank you.